Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Mega News. The 6 news coming to you live from our 10th Avenue Extension, Greater Estate, Nongwa, Adogono. My name is El Samuels. The news is also live across all our social media handles on MBN 360. We'll first take a look at the headlines.
Mahama announces 2-day national cleanup in flood-hit regions. In business, Wontumi Exim Bank case adjourned to July 27 over plea talks. And on the international front, fresh Russian attacks on Kyiv leave at least 11 dead, dozens injured.
This and many other stories coming up. The news live on our media handles, MBN 360. The details of the story: the President, John Dramani Mahama, has declared Friday, July 10th and Saturday, July 11th as a national general cleaning days across 7 regions affected by the devastating June 29 floods, which claimed about 13 lives, destroyed more than 7,000 households as part of efforts to improve sanitation, reduce the risk of future flooding.
The 2-day exercise, organized under the auspices of the Post-Flood Mitigation Committee, will be held under the theme, Our Actions, Our Future, Cleaning Ghana After the Floods, with the initiative intending to mobilize citizens to clean their communities, protect the environment, and safeguard lives following the recent disaster. Announcing the exercise in the statement issued on Monday, July 6th, Government spokesperson Felix Kwachi Ofusu described the cleanup as a critical national intervention and urged all Ghanaians to participate actively. As part of the exercise, President Mahama has directed all government appointees, including ministers of state, members of parliament, chief executive officers of the state institutions, metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives, MMDCs, and heads of public institutions to leave their offices and personally lead cleanup activities in their respective communities. The exercise will be carried out in phases to ensure effective coordination. On Friday, personnel from the security services, metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, MMDAs, and waste management companies will begin the operation, while members of the public will join the exercise on Saturday. The cleanup, according to the statement, will focus on desalting choke drains to improve the free flow of water ahead of the rainy season, clearing sand, weeds and debris from roads and highways, and cleaning public places such as markets, lorry parks, recreational parks, and communal waste collection points. For far too long, indiscriminate littering and plastic pollution have clogged out draining systems, contributing to devastating preventable floods that destroy livelihoods and claim precious Ghanaian lives, the statement ahead. To support the operation, all metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies have been directed to work with waste management companies to provide logistics, including waste trucks, gloves, shovels, and other cleaning tools. They have also been instructed to ensure the immediate evacuation of the collected refuse and slate to prevent waste from being washed back into drains. Government called on citizens to demonstrate community spirit by taking part of the exercise, stressing that a cleaner environment remains essential to protecting lives and preventing future flood disasters.
In another story, the wife of the former National Food Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO Chief Executive Officer Hanan Abdul Wahab, has gone to court demanding to know his whereabouts and seeking his immediate release after he was arrested by armed operatives at the Accra International Airport on July 4th, 2026, just as he prepared to travel abroad under a court-approved medical trip.
Hajia Faiza Said Wune filed an agent habeas corpus application at the High Court Specialized Court in Accra on July 6th. Asking the court to compel the Director of the Bureau of National Intelligence, BNI, and the Attorney General to produce a husband and explain the basis for his continued detention. According to a sworn affidavit, Abdul Wahab, who is standing trial on charges of stealing and causing financial losses to the state, had been granted permission by the High Court on June 29 to travel to London for treatment of the worsened or high conditions, with the order requiring him to leave on or before July 4th and return by July 14th. The affidavit states that Abdul Wahab completed all standards per departure checks at the airport, including clearance from the Ghana Immigration Service, before he was confronted by armed men identifying themselves as BNI officers and taken into custody without explanation. His wife says he was denied the chance to speak with his lawyer at the time of arrest, and that the family spent hours making frantic calls to security agencies, all of which denied holding him, before learning the next day that he was being held by BNI headquarters in Ridge, Accra. She further alleges that when she tried to deliver food to her husband at the BNI headquarters, she was turned away and was told that visitors were not permitted on weekends, and that lawyers who later sought access to him were also denied, with officers reportedly citing a lack of clearance. The arrest drew public comments from Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Sirem Sai, who said in a Facebook post the same night that Abdul Wahab's arrest followed an attempt to access funds in a frozen bank account through improper means, especially an alleged attempt to empty a Republic Bank account 2 days before his arrest. Dr. Sirem Sai added that the Attorney General's office intended to challenge the court order that had permitted Abdul Wahab's travel in the first place. Abdul Wahab's wife firmly despises the account in her affidavit, stating her husband denies and allegations entirely and describing it as a claim with no basis, while calling on the state to provide proof. Her application urged that the arrest and ongoing detention violate her husband's constitutional rights, including his right to personal liberty and to legal representations, and access the court to order its production so the legality of his detention can be reviewed. The BNI and the Attorney General's office have not yet issued a formal response to the habeas corpus filing. The matter is now before the High Court in Accra.
Now, Oliver Becker-Vermawa, counsel for Ghana's socialist Frederick Kume, popularly known as Abu Trika, says the High Court in Accra has brought forward the hearing of a motion seeking to stay his client's extradition to the United States.
In a Facebook post on Monday, July 6, Becker-Vermawa said both parties have been directed to appear before the court on July 9. The High Court has just made an order bringing forward the date of hearing of motion to stay the extradition of Abu Trika. Both parties must appear on 9 July, he wrote. The development follows an earlier High Court ruling ordering the extradition of Kumi to the United States, where he is wanted in connection with an alleged $8 million romance scam case. Becker-Vermawa had previously described the ruling as fast-tracked and suggested the matter could proceed to the Supreme Court on appeal. I am out of Ghana for work. I just heard that the case of Abu Trika has been fast-tracked and a judge has just ordered his extradition. I guess this issue goes to the Supreme Court, he wrote on his Facebook on Thursday, July 2. Abu Trika, who has been in custody since December 2025, was previously granted bail by the High Court in the sum of 30 million Ghana cedis with 2 justified sureties after spending months in detention. He is being sought by United States authorities over allegations of romance fraud, with the latest court's direction expected to determine whether the extradition order will be temporarily stayed pending further legal action.
Away from the court are still in a High Court, but this time around is a business story where the High Court in Accra has adjourned the Exxon Bank case involving NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Mchibosi, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, to July 27th to allow plea negotiation between the parties to continue.
The adjournment followed an appearance by both the prosecution and the defense, who informed the court that discussions were still ongoing. Chairman Wontumi has been charged with allegedly obtaining a 14 million Ghana cedis loan under false pretenses for a farming project. According to the prosecution, between 2018 and 2022, Chairman Wontumi and Thomas Entry Boisiako fraudulently obtained 14.3 million Ghana cedis from Exim Bank under false pretenses, using Wontumi Farms Limited as the vehicle for the transaction. The charge sheet further alleges that Chairman Wontumi presented a forged receipt to Exim Bank officials to support an application for an additional 4 million Ghana cedis facility. He is also accused of knowingly benefiting from funds allegedly obtained through fraudulent means, forming the basis of a money laundering charge. In addition, the prosecution alleges that the accused persons caused financial loss exceeding 30 million cedis to Exim Bank through the transactions. The accused, through their lawyers, have requested plea negotiations. When the case was called on Monday, July 6 for an update on the negotiations, the prosecution informed the court that engagements were still ongoing. The court subsequently adjourned the case to July 27.
On the international front, at least 11 people have been killed in Kiev after Russia launched another wave of overnight missile strike on the Ukraine capital, marking the second major assault on the city within a week.
Kiev's top military administrator, Timur Tkachenko, said 46 people, including 5 children, were injured in the attacks, while emergency officials confirmed that 3 people were killed in the wider Kyiv region. Rescue operations were continuing on Monday, July 6, at more than 20 locations across the capital, with Tkachenko saying residential high-rise buildings were struck in 2 districts. Emergency crews were working to reach people believed to be trapped beneath the rubble. The latest bombardment came on the eve of the NATO summit in Turkey, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is expected to hold talks with U.S. President Donald Trump amid renewed appeals for stronger military support. Hours before the attacks, Zelensky warned that intelligence reports indicated Russia was preparing a second massive strike on Kyiv, following Thursday night's assault, which left 30 people dead. Residents endured another night of explosions as Ukraine's air defense systems attempted to intercept incoming missiles. Many sought refuge in underground metro stations as air raid sirens sounded across the city. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said Russian ballistic missiles struck several buildings, triggering fires in apartment complexes. Warehouses and a garage workshop were also damaged. By Monday morning, widespread destruction was visible across the city. 3 large apartment blocks had partially collapsed, with some buildings sustaining direct missile strikes. Helicopters were deployed to ferry water from the river to extinguish fires as rescuers searched for survivors. The latest attack follows Thursday night's barrage of drones and missiles that forced tens of thousands of residents to seek shelter in metro stations. Ukrainian authorities accused Russia of deliberately targeting civilian areas, while Moscow maintained it had struck military and energy facilities in retaliation for recent Ukrainian attacks on power stations and energy infrastructure inside Russian territory. Overnight, attacks also disrupted electricity supplies in Sevastopol in Russian-occupied Crimea, where power was temporarily cut. Ukraine has intensified strikes on targets in Peninsula in an effort to increase pressure on the Kremlin to enter peace negotiations.
And that's it for this morning's Mega News at 6, coming to you from our studios on the 10th Avenue Extension, Great Estate, Nwadugono. And before we leave, let's take a second look at the stories making headlines.
Mahama announces 2-day national cleanup in flood-hit regions. In business, Wontumi Exim Bank case adjourned to July 27 over plea talks. And development on the international front. Fresh Russian attacks on Kyiv leave at least 11 dead, dozens injured.
The news was live across our social media handles. We want to say thank you for staying with us. Up next is a sports update. My name is El Samuels. Good morning.